Dive into the heart of Africa, where the vibrant city of Lagos never sleeps. The streets are always buzzing with activity, from the vendors selling their goods to the busy professionals rushing to their jobs. In the midst of this chaos, a young surgeon named Oliver finds his calling. Oliver is a dedicated doctor working at one of the city's most prestigious hospitals. Despite his young age, he is known for his skill and compassion. Every day, he arrives early, eager to make a difference in the lives of his patients. One rainy evening, as Oliver walks home from a long shift, he notices a crowd gathered near an alleyway. Curious, he approaches and sees a homeless man lying unconscious on the ground. The man looks frail and is clearly in need of medical attention. Without a second thought, Oliver pushes through the crowd and kneels beside the man. He checks his pulse and finds it weak and erratic. He needs immediate care, Oliver says to the onlookers. With the help of a few passersby, he manages to carry the man to the hospital where he works. The homeless man, whom Oliver learns is named David, is admitted and treated in the emergency room. Over the next few days, Oliver checks on David regularly, ensuring he receives the best care possible. Despite the disapproval of some of his colleagues, who think David is a waste of hospital resources, Oliver persists. He believes every life is valuable. As David's condition improves, he begins to open up to Oliver. He tells him about his life, how he lost his family and job, and ended up on the streets. Oliver listens with empathy, feeling a deep connection to David's story. One morning, as Oliver prepares for his rounds, he is summoned to the hospital director's office. Dr. Okoro, the director, looks stern as he hands Oliver a letter. "You are being dismissed for unauthorized use of hospital resources," Dr. Okoro says coldly. Oliver is stunned. "But I saved a man's life. David needed our help," he protests. Dr. Okoro shakes his head. "We have protocols, Dr. Oliver. You can't just bring in anyone off the street. We have to prioritize our paying patients." Feeling a mix of anger and sadness, Oliver packs his things and leaves the hospital. As he steps outside, he sees David waiting for him. David, now much healthier, smiles gratefully at Oliver. "Thank you for saving my life," he says. Oliver smiles back, but he can't help but feel a sense of injustice. "I did what any doctor should do," he replies. "But now, I don't know what to do next." David places a hand on Oliver's shoulder. "You've done more than you know, my friend. Sometimes, helping one person can change many lives. Maybe there's more for you out there than just this hospital." As Oliver ponders David's words, he realizes that his journey is far from over. With David by his side, he sets out to find a new path, one where he can continue to help those in need, no matter the cost. Oliver and David walk through the bustling streets of Lagos, unsure of what lies ahead. They find solace in each other's company and share stories as they navigate their way through the city. One afternoon, while they are resting under a large baobab tree, David shares a surprising revelation. "Oliver, there's something I need to tell you," David begins. "I wasn't always homeless. I used to be someone important, someone with influence. But I lost everything." Oliver listens intently, intrigued by David's sudden openness. "What happened?" he asks. David sighs deeply and begins his tale. "I was once a wealthy businessman. I owned a chain of successful stores across the country. But one day, everything changed. I discovered corruption within my company, and when I tried to expose it, I was framed and thrown into prison. When I was released, I had nothing left. My family had abandoned me, and my reputation was ruined. I ended up on the streets with no one to turn to." Oliver is shocked by David's story. "That's terrible. No one should have to go through that," he says sympathetically. David nods. Yes, it was a dark time, but now I see a chance to rebuild my life. And I want to help you too, Oliver. You've shown me kindness when no one else would. I believe together we can make a difference. Oliver feels a surge of determination. You're right, David. We can't let the past define us. Let's find a way to help others, just like we helped each other. With renewed purpose, Oliver and David decide to start a small clinic in a poor neighborhood. They gather supplies and begin treating patients who cannot afford medical care. Word of their clinic spreads quickly, and soon, people from all over the city come seeking their help. As they work tirelessly to heal the sick and injured, Oliver and David form a bond that goes beyond friendship. They become a beacon of hope for the community, proving that even in the darkest times, there is always a chance for redemption. But little do they know, their pasts are about to catch up with them in ways they never expected. The sun rises over the bustling streets of Lagos, casting a warm glow over the small clinic that Oliver and David have built. The line of patients waiting for treatment stretches down the block, a testament to the clinic's growing reputation. Despite the challenges, Oliver and David work tirelessly, driven by their shared commitment to helping those in need. One evening, as the clinic begins to wind down for the day, a mysterious figure steps through the door. He is tall and well-dressed, with a sharp gaze that seems to pierce through the room. Oliver looks up from his desk, immediately sensing something unusual about the visitor. "Good evening," Oliver greets the man, masking his unease with a polite smile. "How can we help you today?" The man nods curtly. "I'm looking for Dr. Oliver and Mr. David. I have important business to discuss with them." David, who has been attending to a patient nearby, walks over and stands beside Oliver. "We are Dr. Oliver and David. What business do you have with us?" he asks, his tone wary. The man takes a deep breath before speaking. "My name is Mr. Adisa. I represent a group of individuals who are concerned about your recent activities. Your clinic has attracted a lot of attention, some of it unwanted." Oliver and David exchange puzzled glances. "We're just trying to help people," Oliver says cautiously. "What's the issue?" Mr. Adisa leans in slightly, lowering his voice. "There are powerful people who don't want this clinic to succeed. They believe it disrupts the order and threatens their interests. I've been sent to deliver a warning. Stop what you're doing, or face the consequences." David's eyes narrow with defiance. "We're not afraid of threats. We're here to make a difference, and we won't be bullied into stopping." Mr. Adisa sighs, as if expecting this response. "I understand your resolve, but I must urge you to reconsider. The people I represent are not to be taken lightly. They have the means to make your lives very difficult." Before Oliver can respond, a commotion breaks out at the entrance of the clinic. A group of men in suits barges in, causing the patients to scatter in fear. Leading them is a man Oliver recognizes all too well, Dr. Okoro, the hospital director who had fired him. "Dr. Oliver, David," Dr. Okoro sneers, his eyes cold and calculating. "I see you've been busy. Unfortunately, your little operation is about to come to an end." Oliver steps forward, his voice steady despite the tension. "Okoro, we're not doing anything wrong. We're providing care to those who need it most." Dr. Okoro laughs mockingly. "You're naive, Oliver. You think you can change the world with your idealism. The world doesn't work that way. There are rules, and you're breaking them." David's fists clench in anger. "We're saving lives, Okoro. Isn't that what being a doctor is about?" Dr. Okoro's expression darkens. "You've been warned. Disband this clinic, or face the consequences." With that, he and his men turn and leave, leaving a heavy silence in their wake. Oliver and David stand together, the weight of the threat hanging over them. But in their hearts, they know they cannot back down. They've come too far to give up now. Determined not to be intimidated, Oliver and David call a meeting with their trusted friends and supporters. They gather in a small room at the back of the clinic, the atmosphere charged with tension and resolve. "We can't let them scare us," Oliver begins, his voice firm. "We've built something important here. We can't just walk away." A young woman named Amina, a nurse who has been with the clinic since the beginning, nods in agreement. "The people in this community rely on us. We can't abandon them now." David steps forward, his eyes blazing with determination. "We need to rally the community. Show them that we're not alone. If we stand together, we can protect what we've built." Over the next few days, Oliver, David, and their team work tirelessly to spread the word. They visit local markets, churches, and schools, sharing their story and rallying support. The response is overwhelming. People from all walks of life come forward, offering their help and standing in solidarity with the clinic. One evening, as the sun sets over Lagos, a large crowd gathers outside the clinic. They hold signs and chant slogans, their voices echoing through the streets. Oliver and David stand at the front, their hearts swelling with pride and hope. "We're not just a clinic," Oliver addresses the crowd. "We're a family. And families stand together, no matter what." The crowd erupts in cheers, their spirits lifted by the sense of unity and purpose. But as Oliver and David look out over the sea of faces, they know the battle is far from over. They have taken a stand, but the forces against them are powerful and relentless. As night falls, they return to the clinic, exhausted but resolute. They know that the road ahead will be difficult, but they are ready to face whatever challenges come their way. With the support of the community behind them, they are more determined than ever to fight for what is right. And so, their journey continues, fueled by hope, courage, and the unwavering belief that they can make a difference. Days turn into weeks, and the tension around the clinic remains high. Despite the constant threat hanging over them, Oliver and David continue their work, determined to provide care to those who need it most. The community's support remains steadfast, giving them the strength to face each day. One afternoon, as Oliver is attending to a patient, a familiar face appears at the door. It's Mrs. Adila, a well-known philanthropist and businesswoman in Lagos. Oliver had met her once during a fundraiser for the hospital he used to work at. She walks in with an air of confidence, her presence commanding attention. "Dr. Oliver," she says warmly, extending her hand. "I've heard about what you and David are doing here. I must say, I'm impressed." Oliver shakes her hand, surprised but pleased by her visit. "Mrs. Adila, it's an honor to have you here. How can we help you?" Mrs. Adila smiles. "The question is, how can I help you? I've seen the impact your clinic is having on the community, and I want to support your efforts." David, who has been listening from the doorway, steps forward. "We appreciate your offer, Mrs. Adila. But as you might have heard, we're facing significant opposition. Powerful people want to shut us down." Mrs. Adila nods, her expression serious. "I'm aware. That's precisely why I'm here. I have connections and resources that could protect your clinic from these threats. I believe in what you're doing, and I want to be a part of it." With Mrs. Adila's support, the clinic's future begins to look brighter. She helps them secure funding, medical supplies, and even legal assistance. Her influence provides a shield against those who wish to see the clinic fail. As the clinic thrives under Mrs. Adila's patronage, a new challenge emerges. David starts receiving mysterious letters, each containing cryptic messages about his past. Initially, he dismisses them as pranks, but the messages become more specific and threatening. One evening, as David and Oliver are closing up the clinic, David shows Oliver the latest letter. "Look at this, Oliver. Whoever's sending these knows things about my past that no one else should. Oliver reads the letter, his brow furrowing in concern. This is serious, David. We need to find out who's behind this. Determined to uncover the truth, David and Oliver start investigating. They revisit places from David's past, seeking clues and talking to old acquaintances. David, the people who framed you years ago are still out there. They're powerful and dangerous. I've heard whispers that they're afraid you'll expose them. Now that you have a platform through the clinic, David's heart races as he realizes the gravity of the situation. Why didn't you tell me this before, BC? BC sighs, her eyes filled with regret. I was scared, David. These people have a lot of influence. But now, seeing what you're doing, I know I can't stay silent anymore. Armed with this new information, David and Oliver return to the clinic, their resolve stronger than ever. They know that the fight for justice is just beginning, and they're prepared to face whatever comes their way. With the revelations from BC, David and Oliver realize they need to be more strategic. They reach out to local journalists, hoping to shed light on the corruption and threats they face. One journalist, a young and ambitious reporter named Jide, takes a keen interest in their story. Jide spends days interviewing David and Oliver, documenting their journey and the challenges they've overcome. He digs deep into David's past, uncovering evidence of the corruption that ruined his life. The story is explosive, and when it's published, it creates a media frenzy. The public response is overwhelming. People rally behind David and Oliver, demanding justice and accountability. The pressure mounts on those who sought to destroy the clinic, forcing them into the spotlight. As the media attention grows, so do the threats against David and Oliver. One night, as they're working late at the clinic, the power suddenly goes out. Moments later, they hear the sound of footsteps approaching. "Stay behind me," Oliver whispers to David, grabbing a flashlight and moving towards the sound. They find themselves face to face with a group of men, their faces masked and their intentions clear. "We warned you," one of the men snarls. "You should have listened." Just as the situation seems dire, the sound of sirens fills the air. Mrs. Adila had anticipated this move and had arranged for police protection. The masked men are quickly apprehended, and the immediate danger passes. With the immediate threat neutralized, David and Oliver know they can't let their guard down. The battle for justice is far from over, and they must remain vigilant. They continue their work at the clinic, now with an added layer of security and the unwavering support of their community and allies. As they look towards the future, they understand that their journey will be long and fraught with challenges. But with courage, determination, and the strength of their convictions, they know they can face whatever comes their way. The story of Oliver and David becomes a beacon of hope for others, proving that even in the face of overwhelming odds, compassion and justice can prevail. Their journey is a testament to the power of standing up for what is right, no matter the cost. With the clinic thriving and the community behind them, Oliver and David continue their work, but the threats have not disappeared. They know they need to find a more permanent solution to the dangers that loom over them. Determined to get to the root of the corruption, they decide to follow the trail left by the men who attacked them. With Jide's help, they uncover a network of powerful individuals involved in various illegal activities, all connected to the same organization that framed David. The deeper they dig, the more they realize the scale of the corruption and the risks they are taking. One evening, as they review their findings, Mrs. Adila arrives at the clinic with a grave expression. "I have some important information," she says, handing them a folder. These are documents that link the organization to high-ranking officials and business leaders. If we can expose this, we might be able to bring them down. David opens the folder and examines the documents. "This is the evidence we need," he says. his voice filled with determination. "But how do we get this out without putting ourselves in even more danger?" Mrs. Adela smiles. "Leave that to me. I have contacts in the media and the legal system. We'll release this information strategically to ensure maximum impact and minimum risk to you both." Over the next few weeks, Mrs. Adila works tirelessly with her contacts to plan the release of the information. Jide prepares a series of investigative reports, ensuring that every detail is thoroughly verified. As the pieces fall into place, Oliver and David brace themselves for the fallout. The first article is published, revealing the extent of the corruption and naming key individuals involved. The reaction is immediate and explosive. Protests erupt across Lagos, demanding justice and accountability. The authorities have no choice but to act, launching an official investigation into the allegations. As the investigation progresses, more articles are released, each one more damning than the last. The public outcry intensifies, and the pressure on the corrupt officials mounts. Slowly but surely, the organization's power begins to unravel. One morning, as Oliver and David arrive at the clinic, they are greeted with the news they've been waiting for. The government has arrested several high-ranking officials and business leaders involved in the corruption scandal. The organization that had threatened them for so long is finally being dismantled. The community celebrates the victory, recognizing the clinic as the catalyst for the change. Oliver and David are hailed as heroes, their names synonymous with courage and justice. Despite the challenges they faced, they never wavered in their commitment to doing what was right. As life returns to normal, the clinic continues to thrive. With the shadow of corruption lifted, they expand their services, providing care to even more people in need. Oliver and David know that their journey is far from over, but they are ready for whatever comes next. With the corrupt organization dismantled and justice served, Oliver and David focus on the future of the clinic. They decide to expand their operations, opening new branches in other underserved areas. Their vision of accessible healthcare for all begins to take shape, reaching far beyond Lagos. Mrs. Adila remains a steadfast supporter, helping them secure funding and resources for their expansion. Jide continues to document their journey, his stories inspiring others to stand up against injustice. One evening, as they sit outside the clinic, watching the sunset, David turns to Oliver. "We've come a long way, my friend, but there's still so much more to do." Oliver nods, a smile spreading across his face. "And we'll do it, David. Together, we'll keep fighting for what's right. We've proven that even in the darkest times, there's always hope." As the sun dips below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the city, Oliver and David know that their story is just beginning. With the support of their community and the strength of their convictions, they are ready to face whatever challenges come their way, knowing that they have already made a lasting impact. And so, their journey continues, a testament to the power of resilience, courage, and the unwavering belief that change is always possible. As the new branches of the clinic begin to take shape, Oliver and David are busier than ever. They are traveling between locations, training new staff, and ensuring that the standards of care they established are maintained. The impact of their work is felt far and wide, bringing hope and healing to countless lives. One afternoon, as David is reviewing patient records at the original clinic, a man walks in, looking hesitant and nervous. David immediately recognizes him as Aid, an old acquaintance from his days before the fall. Aid was one of the few who stood by David during his trial, but they had lost touch over the years. "Aid?" David asks, standing up and walking over to him. "Is that really you?" Aid nods, a weary smile on his face. "It's me, David. I heard about what you've been doing, and I had to see it for myself." David embraces Aid, grateful for the reunion. "It's so good to see you. What brings you here?" Ade's expression turns serious. David, there's something you need to know. I've been keeping tabs on the people who framed you. Not all of them were caught in the recent crackdown. Some of them have gone underground, and they're planning something big. David's heart sinks. What do you mean? What are they planning? Ade sighs, looking around to make sure they're not overheard. They want revenge, David. They blame you for their downfall, and they're plotting to take you down, along with everything you've built. David feels a chill run down his spine. Just when he thought the worst was behind them, a new threat emerges. Thank you for telling me, Ade. We need to be prepared. David immediately informs Oliver and Mrs. Adela about the new threat. They gather their trusted allies, including Jide and some community leaders, to discuss their next steps. We can't let them destroy what we've built, Oliver says, his voice firm. We need to be proactive and find out who's behind this. Jide nods. I'll start investigating right away. We need to gather as much information as possible and expose their plans before they can act. Mrs. Adela adds, I'll use my contacts to ensure we have legal and security support. We need to protect the clinics and everyone involved. As they put their plan into action, the atmosphere grows tense. Oliver and David work tirelessly, balancing their duties at the clinics with the effort to uncover the conspiracy against them. The support of the community remains strong, giving them the strength to push forward. Jide's investigation leads him to a series of clandestine meetings and suspicious transactions. He uncovers a network of former associates of the corrupt organization, all working together to rebuild their power and exact revenge on David and Oliver. One night, Jide manages to infiltrate one of their meetings, hidden in the shadows as he records their plans. He learns that they are planning a coordinated attack on the clinics, aiming to destroy them and discredit David and Oliver in the process. Jide quickly shares this information with Oliver, David, and Mrs. Adela. They realize they need to act fast to prevent the attacks and bring the conspirators to justice. With the evidence gathered by Jide, they alert the authorities and prepare to defend the clinics. The community rallies once again, standing guard and providing support. The atmosphere is tense, but there is a strong sense of solidarity and determination. On the night of the planned attack, the clinics are heavily guarded by both police and community volunteers. As the conspirators move in, they are met with overwhelming resistance. The authorities move in quickly, arresting the perpetrators and dismantling their network once and for all. With the threat neutralized, Oliver, David, and their allies breathe a sigh of relief. The danger has passed, and they can finally focus on their mission without fear. The clinics continue to thrive, expanding their reach and impact. The media coverage of the thwarted attack and the subsequent arrests further solidifies Oliver and David's status as heroes in the eyes of the public. Their story becomes a symbol of resilience and the power of community, inspiring others to stand up against injustice and fight for what is right. As they reflect on their journey, Oliver and David realize how far they've come. From a chance encounter in an alleyway to leading a movement that has changed countless lives, their bond has only grown stronger. They know that there will always be challenges ahead, but they are ready to face them together. And so, with their hearts full of hope and determination, Oliver and David look towards the future, knowing that they have the power to make a difference and bring about lasting change. Their journey is far from over, but they are ready for whatever comes next, united in their mission to heal, protect, and uplift their community. With the major threat behind them, Oliver and David decide to take a moment to appreciate what they've built. The clinic is now a beacon of hope in the community, offering free healthcare to anyone in need. The success of their initial clinic has inspired others to open similar facilities in neighboring areas, creating a network of support and care. One sunny afternoon, Oliver and David sit outside the clinic, watching as patients come and go. The atmosphere is filled with laughter and conversation, a testament to the positive impact they've made. "I can't believe how far we've come," Oliver says, a smile spreading across his face. "Remember when we started this with just a handful of supplies and a lot of determination?" David nods, his eyes reflecting the memories of their journey. "It's been a long road, but worth every step. We've proven that change is possible when people come together." To celebrate their achievements and the community support, they decide to host a large event at the clinic. They invite patients, volunteers, local leaders, and everyone who's been part of their journey. The event is filled with music, dance, and speeches, highlighting the stories of lives that have been transformed by the clinic. Mrs. Adila, Jide, and other key supporters share their thoughts, expressing pride and gratitude for the work done by Oliver, David, and their team. The event culminates in a heartfelt speech by David, who thanks everyone for their unwavering support and reminds them of the power of unity. "Together, we've built something extraordinary," David says, his voice filled with emotion. "This clinic is more than just a place for medical treatment. It's a symbol of hope, resilience, and the belief that we can create a better world." As the celebration winds down, Oliver and David find a quiet moment to reflect on what's next. They know that their work is not finished, and there are still many communities in need of support. They begin planning further expansions, with the goal of establishing clinics in every underserved area across the region. Their vision grows even bigger as they consider incorporating educational programs, mental health services, and more comprehensive care options. With the support of people like Mrs. Adila and Jide, they are confident they can continue making a difference. Years pass, and the clinics they established become integral parts of the communities they serve. Oliver and David continue to work tirelessly, training new generations of healthcare providers and advocates. Their legacy extends beyond the physical buildings. It's embedded in the hearts and minds of those they've touched. One day, as they stand outside the original clinic, now a bustling hub of activity, David turns to Oliver. "We've created something that will last long after we're gone," he says. "Something that will keep giving hope and healing for years to come." Oliver nods, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. And it all started with a simple act of kindness. Who would have thought that saving a homeless man's life would lead to all this? They share a moment of quiet reflection, grateful for the journey they've been on and the impact they've made. The challenges they faced only strengthened their resolve and brought them closer together. The story of Oliver and David becomes a legend in the communities they served. Their names are synonymous with compassion, courage, and the unwavering belief in the power of doing good. The network of clinics they built continues to thrive, each one a testament to their vision and hard work. New leaders emerge, inspired by their example, and the movement for accessible healthcare spreads even further. Oliver and David's story is told to new generations, a reminder that one act of kindness can ripple outwards and change the world. As they look to the future, Oliver and David know that their journey will continue in the hearts of those they've inspired. Their legacy is one of hope, resilience, and the enduring power of community. And with that knowledge, they face each new day with the same determination and spirit that started it all.